Hello and welcome to this May update for your astrology. My name is Rebecca Lovett, for those of you that I don't know, and I am an astrologer and human design reader. And my kind of why behind this video is to give you a bit of an update as to everything that is going on energetically within May. Now, I had been doing these as moon readings, so we were doing them every full moon, every new moon. But there was just a lot of chaos going on at the time, and so I've kind of stripped them back a little bit to a bit more simplicity, and I've decided to do them as monthly updates for the kind of Gregorian months. So this is May. Welcome to May. Um, we have so much going on over the next few months that it's kind of difficult to keep on top of everything that is moving. What I'm going to try and do is make it all quite concise. So if you're someone who likes all the nitty-gritty details, this is going to be more of an overview video of everything that is going on. And my Instagram is probably the best place to get daily updates because I will always post those on my stories. So, without further ado, we are in Taurus season. Now, Taurus season is notorious for the slowdown. There's different ways that comes in. Sometimes people are asked to slow down within their daily lives, their personal lives, and a very practical way that we can look at this within the energy of the UK, at least, is that we have several bank holidays usually around this time of Taurus season as well. People start to go on holiday. People start to just prioritize rest a little bit more. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is all about receiving. She is not the energy for pushing and forcing and doing. She is very much about how can we open ourselves up to receive more. And we start to see this shift as the sun starts to take priority in the sky. We have more days of sunlight, we have more sunshine generally. There is this slowing down, and even if you go out and about, you'll probably notice that there's slightly less cars on the road. There's slightly less noise around, and it's not that people aren't out and about doing things because they absolutely are. It's just this pace seems to slow down. So we're in Taurus season until the 21st of May. Then we will move into Gemini, bringing a lot of quick changes. And actually, as we get to that 21st of May pinpoint, we then have a lot of big planetary changes. So towards the end of the month, as we come out of Taurus season, as we come out of this slow, steady, grounded, sometimes somewhat stubborn growth, kind of waiting for things, this patience. Earth signs always bring up this element of patience. When we get towards the end, when we get towards the 21st, 22nd, that is going to be when we start to see those big changes. So the first point to really make in this video is enjoy your time for these next few weeks. We're being asked to slow down, we're being asked to strip back, we're being asked to receive, we're being asked to save, we're being asked to gather. There's a lot of kind of preparation energy. There's a lot of kind of what's a necessity, what's a luxury, how can I bring more of this luxurious, restful, feel good energy into my life, especially up until the 21st. And what I'm going to do actually is just start with what's happening between now and the 21st. Okay. So Taurus season is this overarching energy. We've had the Taurus new moon, so we've set the seed in time for that. We had that towards the end of April. I've lost complete track of days, if I'm totally honest, as I record this. But we had that towards the end of April, so it was in Taurus season, but in the April part of it. As I record this, we currently have Mercury conjunct Chiron in Aries. We have this from the 4th to the 9th of May. Mercury is the planet of the mind, the personal mind, our beliefs, our understanding, our communication, the way that we speak to ourselves. And Chiron is the vulnerability, planet of vulnerability or asteroid of vulnerability. But also, she is very, very concerned with our weaknesses, our strengths, and how we can learn to work with these, it's not limitations, but how we can learn to work with these scars, these battle scars that we have. And with this conjunction, what we're likely to see in Aries is this fresh perspective, this fresh way of understanding the more vulnerable aspects of ourselves. You know, perhaps we always saw these things as a weakness, and now we're starting to see them as a strength, or we're starting to integrate them more and understand them more and accept them more. And we have this energy, as I say, from the 4th to the 9th of May. But it's all about this Aries fresh spark. You know, I'm seeing this differently. I'm experiencing this differently. I'm doing something differently to what I would normally do around my thoughts and around my sore bits, my internal sore bits. Until the 14th of May, this is current and it is ongoing. We also have Ceres conjunct, someone pronounced it differently to me the other day, and I was like, oh, have I been pronouncing this wrong? Ceres, I think they said. So I say Ceres, but Ceres conjunct the North Node in Pisces. Now, Ceres or Ceres is the planet or the dwarf planet of the harvest. She rules. She rules our resources. You know, specifically food. She's linked to the harvest. She was a mother of Persephone, um, or in the similar stories. And Persephone kind of rose from the underworld after Ceres had made a deal to allow her daughter to experience the light for 6 months of the year and the darkness for 6 months of the year. And so when we have Ceres and the North Node conjunct in Pisces, what we've got is this merging together of really the end of resources as we know it or as we have known it. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Tends to make things a little bit more complicated than they need to be sometimes. Not practical, not pragmatic, very much lives in a different kind of realm to what I would call real life. And I'm using these little pointers because that's a term that is not even true in itself. But when we have these two together, you know, we've got the North Node, which is wanting us to focus on whatever it's a conjunct with. So focus on resources, focus on food resources specifically. And it's funny because, you know, as this has been going on, we've had, and it's there till the 14th of May, we've had a lot, again in the UK, of cyber attacks on food outlets. So we've had this focus on food and this focus on how we've done things is perhaps not in balance, is perhaps not the correct way to do it moving forwards. And there is just this not pleasant energy around. I don't Pisces always confuses things. So it's a mystery. It's like, how has that happened? I don't understand how that's happened. We can't get to the bottom of it. And there's this mysterious energy that sits around it. 2 seconds. I'm just going to get my doggy who's my dog always ends up having to join me on these videos because she's naughty. So we have that energy going on. We then, from the 28th of April, um, until the 7th of May. So we're almost at the end of this actually as I record this. We have Neptune, Venus conjunct in Aries. So I'm not going to talk too much about this because, if it's already started to go, by the time I've got around to recording this, then oh well. But what it is again this fresh remembrance, fresh spark. Aries always brings fresh start, fresh spark, fresh way of doing things around spirituality, how we see things. Venus is rules the eyes. We're seeing things with fresh eyes, and suddenly the veils are or the things that were confusing to us don't look quite so confusing anymore because we've had this kind of fresh spark, fresh awakening with the Neptune energy there as well. So what that's really saying is these insights that you're getting at the moment, these fresh kind of sparks, these initiatory sparks, are really, really powerful for helping you to navigate the next part of the chapter. And remember, we're building at the moment up to this energy after the 21st of May when we have quite a lot going on. Pluto is now retrograde. Now, it's retrograde until October. I think it's the 13th of October. And when Pluto goes retrograde, it's an opportunity to retransform. You know, I think I described this the other day on Instagram as whatever isn't serving is burning. And I think that's a very simple and easy to understand way of understanding this Pluto retrograde. Whatever is not serving, so whatever is not supporting you, serving you, helping you, is burning. It is an uncontrollable burn, whether that's a big, massive burn or it's just these embers that you just can't seem to put out, that don't want to, that just want to burn the things that are around you that aren't helping anymore to the ground. Well, however it does that, that is what it's doing. So if you are aware of anything that is feeling like a real struggle at the moment, or you try something and you're just hitting brick walls, or you just can't seem to get anywhere with this certain thing, just look out for that because what it is probably asking you to do is take a step back. And it might be that that thing is just not aligned for you, or it might be that you just need to tweak it and refocus it. But Pluto is a ruler of Scorpio, so it brings with it this intense focus. I've got the ability to intensely focus on this area of my life at the moment. And that focus as well will be within the house that Pluto is currently retrograding in for you. So for me, it's in the sixth house, a lot to do with day-to-day work, daily routines, workouts, food, health, pets. So there's this intense focus on the detail. What is the detail behind this? What is the healing aspect as well behind this? Because the sixth house is very concerned with holistic health, alternative health, traditional health. Okay. Mercury moves into Taurus on the 10th of May. Now, Mercury in Taurus is going to bring a lot of stubborn ideas, fixed ideas. Taurus is a fixed sign. So look out for the rise of this stubborn mentality. We can't seem to get past this kind of mental block that is going on. That might be individually, that might be collectively that you notice it, but just look out for this stubbornness. Look out as well for kind of lazy thinking. Where things haven't been checked, where things haven't been, I'm thinking about things like in the news, things are being published, things are being spoken about that haven't actually been fact checked. They've not had their full, what's the Donald Trump thing that he says? Fake news. Fake news, rising fake news. Which will stay with us for the rest of May. Now the biggie really, apart from when we start to hit later in May, is the 12th. So bookmark now the 12th of May on your calendar. This is a full moon in Scorpio. Now, a full moon in Scorpio, whilst Pluto is also retrograde, is bringing this intense focus, this intense light to areas of your personal life where it sits in your natal chart. So, what house is the full moon going to be in for you? It will be bringing an intense focus and an intense closure in that part of your life. But also, what it's bringing with it is this intense focus on the unseen. What am I not seeing that I can currently that I can now see a lot more clearly? What have I been missing? What not surprises, what secrets are coming to light? What things that I would normally not notice are suddenly coming into my eye line, and I'm seeing things with more intensity. I'm seeing things with more importance. Um, I would look out collectively in the news for dodgy money, anything to do with dodgy money sources. Um, Also things like the hacking and things would be very kind of underground, underworld. Look out for kind of we've had a lot of sexual assault allegations. I wouldn't be surprised if they either culminated or we had more coming in at this full moon. And because Uranus in Taurus is also there, opposed, it will be conjunct to the sun and therefore opposed to the full moon. We've got some shocking allegations, shocking um, situations going to be coming to light as well within the on the 12th of May. So again, these may be personal, these may be collective. It's going to very much depend where it sits in your house system, as to how you can interpret that. But I think what we can see, and again, this is a UK perspective, what we can see is over the last few weeks, Taurus is very linked to money. It's ruled by Venus, very linked to money. Um, Uranus, shocking, surprising, cutting off. We've had so much happen around the cutting off of money or the cutting off of resources. Ceres is also involved, as I mentioned. That I think it's probably safe to say that we'll see some of those things continue, especially as we've got Ceres conjunct the North Node in Pisces until the 14th of May. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of culmination of that at the full moon. Perhaps it intensifies, Scorpio intensifies things. We've got Pluto retrograde at the same time. So do I want to put out that war? I'm just kind of hearing, just have a little bit of a stockpile, you know. I'm not talking about, when we had COVID and people were stockpiling toilet rolls. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just have a little bit extra so that if we had, let's say we had a power cut, you've got a little bit extra to keep you going for a day or so. That's not unusual. We've also had all the power cuts in Spain, France, Portugal. So being practical, bringing this practical element into it is probably helpful at this point. Now, Saturn also goes into 29 degrees on this day in Pisces. Now, Saturn is the ruler of rule, regulation, order. 29 degrees is a critical degree, so this is intensity around that. Intensity around rules, regulations, order, a need for order, a need for structure in Pisces. Now, Pisces is not a natural home for Saturn to be in. It can't find its feet, really. It's water, and it is mutable water at that. So there's a lot of shedding, there's a lot of letting go, there's a lot of dissolving of structures, dissolving of structures, dissolving of rules, dissolving of regulations. There's a lot of and if we're talking about that, that's going to be Saturn then soon moving into Aries, starting new structures. So old structures are going to have to go, they're going to have to burn, they're going to have to come down before new structures can be built in its place. So just bear that in mind with all that I've already said around those areas. I'm trying to be careful with my words a little bit because what I tend to find with astrology is that people can take things too literally and therefore panic. And none of this is meant to be about panicking. What it is meant to be about is just being really practical. A panicked response to something would be the toilet roll gate that we saw in COVID. Suddenly everyone's got 50 toilet rolls in their cupboard, which is going to last them for ages, which is so unnecessary. But having a 4 pack of beans in the cupboard is not panicking. That's just, okay, well, I've got food for a couple of days if I need to have food for a couple of days because let's say the card machines all go down or we can't get access to bank accounts and things for a couple of days. I've got a few tins of beans in the cupboard, just enough for myself and the person that I live with to be able to be able to safely navigate. So say just watch your thinking. This is why I'm trying to be very careful with my words because these things are about patterns. So they're not about predictions. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. It's just what patterns have we seen so far? Okay. Now, the Sun and Uranus go directly conjunct in Gemini in at 27 degrees in Taurus at the Gemini degree between the 17th of May to the 19th of May. Now, Sun Uranus conjunction 17th of May to the 19th of May. The Sun and Uranus. This is shocking events, surprise turn of events, surprise turns of resources, money, surprising money events, shocking money events. But also Taurus is linked to luxury retail, luxuries being available, luxury resources. Okay, so again, practical, pragmatic. Because this is happening whilst the full moon, they've got a loose conjunction whilst the full moon is taking place, and then it continues to go direct after the full moon has taken place until the 19th of May. We've just got this continuation again of this kind of unstable energy. Uranus is unstable in Taurus, which is resources, unstable resources. The sun is shining a light and highlighting the instability of resources and getting people to go, okay, well, what do I need to do about this? We've got a lot of Mercury, energy flying around, thought patterns. Mercury moves into Taurus where these two are sat on the 10th of May. So we've got this kind of mind focus again on resources. I need to think about my resources. I need to think about what my resources are. Okay, so I feel like that's enough of that talk. Towards the end of the month, so after the 21st of May, in fact, the last thing I want to talk about on that is that Ceres moves into Aries on the 17th of May. So this is just as the Sun and Uranus go conjunct. This is fresh resources. Igniting of resources. Resources going up in flames. Burning out. Resources being new resources coming to light are hearing as well. So just bear that in mind. That's an interesting full moon for me, and the week after this waning moon. So towards the end of the month, after the 21st of May, 24th of May, we have Uranus and Mercury conjunct in Taurus. So Uranus, surprising, shocking, Mercury, mind, thoughts, knowledge, information, shocking information. In Taurus, Taurus, resources, luxury, um, stability, stability versus instability. You know, new ways of looking at things, new ways of moving through things, new ways of finding our feet, finding our ground, which is an interesting one to come after all of that. So again, just highlighting what what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a predictor in that way. And also I wouldn't want to because it's going to play out differently for everyone. Everyone's in different circumstances and situations. 25th of May, Saturn to Aries. Um, this is one of the biggies that we've been waiting for this year. The last one is going to be Uranus moving into Gemini, which will happen in a couple of months' time. But Saturn to Aries is a big one. We've had Neptune move into Aries, and we've seen this kind of, I want to say spiritual awakening, what's actually happened in the UK at least. And actually, this is a movement that's gone across the globe, so this is not just a UK thing, is that we've seen the rise of the opposite of what we want to happen first. This is actually right on time. You know, I'm talking about things like the rise of reform, right on time in terms of we need something to get everyone or the majority of people to rebel against. So this is right on time in terms of if you're looking at the rise of reform and feeling scared and terrified. What I would say is that this is an opportunity for a lot of people to get appalled, to pound the streets, to write to their MPs, to use their voice, to be moved into action, moved into spiritual action rather than just acceptance. You know, Neptune in Pisces was very much about spiritual acceptance. Neptune in Aries is very much about spiritual liberation, spiritual action, making your life a moving prayer. And with Saturn now joining that party, we have the new structures coming into place. We have the new opportunities in terms of governance, regulation, um, especially around this kind of fresh start energy. You know, what we've seen up until the end of May, the last few years, is structures crumble. Saturn in Pisces, structures just disappearing, melting away. Just, you know, things that we thought were stable have just gone. And what we will start to see as Saturn comes into Aries is this rebuilding of structures, but in a way that is supportive of long-term growth. So at first, 30-year cycles, but longer than that because Neptune has a much, much, much longer 140, 150, 160 odd years cycle. Pluto is also helping that party by creating a refocus, regeneration on those community values and community beliefs. So there's a lot happening in terms of this restructuring. And the final thing to watch out for is 27th of May, the new moon in Virgo, sorry, new moon in Gemini at 6 degrees, which is the Virgo degree, the harvest degree. Now, the reason why I'm kind of highlighting this is because we've talked a lot about food, we've talked a lot about harvest, we've talked a lot about the natural Virgo energy of the harvest. And on the 27th of May, we have this new moon at 6 degrees in Gemini, new ways of communicating, new ways of tech being helpful, new ways to get our messages out there, new ways to intrinsically connect with people, places, businesses. So look out for any sort of new launches, new starts, new ideas, new approaches to things because we could see that very well off the back of this mild chaos that we're probably building up to with this full moon. Now it's going to be sextile Ceres, so there's going to be this little bit of a supportive push and pull element from the queen of the harvest. So again, we're coming back to food, I think, food tech, um, food sources. There's a lot. There's a lot, potentially water as well. There's a lot of food talk coming up. Trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So again, we've got this supportive activation from Pluto in Aquarius. So a lot of mind energy, a lot of air energy, a lot of wind, a lot of thoughts, a lot of beliefs, a lot of community, ultimately community togetherness, kind of fueling this fire. Now it's square Persephone in Pisces. So we've got again a lot of this mythology coming in around the harvest, around when it is time to harvest and when it is not time for harvest, when it is supportive for us to be indulgent and when it is not supportive for us to be indulgent. You know, when it's time to overindulge and when it's time to save and keep a little back. We've got this fight going on, and Persephone in Pisces is going to be very much about kind of the end of this innocence around whatever it is that's coming up, the end of innocence. And that's going to feel, it's square, so it's going to feel uncomfortable with that. And in my notes, when I wrote these down, I put the grain, the harvest. Now, on a very practical level, again, we've not had a lot of rain in the UK. The rivers are getting a little bit dry. The sand, the soil, if you go out, especially to the more places that are usually got kind of clayey soil, are cracked, dry. We're only on the 6th of May. So I'm wondering how much this is also playing into it. We've had a lot of talk about controlling the weather, controlling the sun, all of these sorts of things. So it's interesting how all this is playing together when we've got a massive activation of all of the resources elements for the rest of May. Now to finish, I want to just pull a couple of cards. So any last messages, please, to deliver in terms of May? What energy are we working with in May that we need to be aware of and be supported by and be in support of? Okay. So the first card that I pulled out was Mitraginia. Mitraginia? Mitraginia. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's not a herb that I work with, so I'm going to let myself off. Interestingly, it's linked to Saturn and Neptune. Now, we know that Saturn and Neptune are about to go conjunct when Saturn moves. Neptune's currently at 1 degrees of Aries. Saturn is going to be moving to 0 degrees of Aries on the 25th of May. So they are going to be coming into conjunction in Aries as we go through May and June. Now, those two together, this is new spiritual structures, new subconscious structures, new dreams being constructed, new, you know, Neptune as well as a collective, so new collective dreams being constructed. It's a very supportive energy to come together, but it will feel a little bit messy and confusing as it starts to come together because Neptune adds an air of mystery, adds a layer of mystery to things that it is around. It's been birthed out of like a volcano, if you look at it. So I know there's been a lot of people talking about volcanic activity and under the sea. So this is the sea underneath it, volcanoes, and it's almost like wisdom is being released from this underwater volcano. So we'll see what comes with that one. But the other one, which I chuckled at when it came out because it was like, yeah, this is kind of summing up everything that I was trying to talk about a little bit clumsily, was the Carver Carver community card. It's all about coming together, people coming together, people helping each other, and this transformation that comes when people come together and help each other. Um, and I love that. I really, really love that as the last card to end on. May is all about people coming together. So whatever is coming out, whatever happens, whatever challenges and opportunities and surprises we have, keep in mind that these two cards have summed it up beautifully. We're shape shifting, we're moving, we're changing, and community is the most important aspect of this. Finding your people, finding your tribe, finding ways of connecting to new people and bringing people together is going to be really incredibly important. So I hope that that has been helpful. There is a lot going on in May. The most important thing is to not overthink it. So this is just information for you to ponder, but you don't need to overthink it. Let the days roll, but keep in mind what we've talked about. Um, and keep coming back to any grounding techniques that you have. My favorite grounding technique is simply to just stand outside with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea for a moment, feel my feet on the earth and breathe. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. You might just sit at your desk and meditate for 5 minutes when you feel a little bit like things are kind of going on. There's no right and wrong way, but it just requires you to take a moment to be present and be with yourself and then move forwards. So I hope that that has been helpful. Wishing you a beautiful rest of the day and enjoy the energies.